Gotta prep myself for this video. Hi everyone. Hi. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by and for hanging out with me today. Today's video is the last of this series where I go through different face products like bronzers, contour products, blushes, and highlighters. And just showing you what's in my collection and giving you some thoughts and feedback on the products that I have. This video is of course focused on highlighters, as you can probably tell in the title. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Em. I'm a hoarder and you're watching Makeupry. I always have to laugh when I say I'm a hoarder because I kind of am, but I'm also kind of not. I don't know. We'll see. You can be the judge of that as we go through these products. By the way, if you are new here and you like what you see and you want to come back and hang out again in the future, please click that subscribe button and give me a like on this video. That really helps me out. I have a goal to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So by you subscribing and supporting my channel, that really helps me out and I really appreciate it. And my little Sandy cat even says thank you. Yeah. Yep, she says thank you. So I have all of my highlighters, both cream and powder formulas and whatever hybrids I have in between, spread out in front of me. So it's gonna go in no particular order. So I'm just gonna grab what I see and go from there. So the first thing I see here is this. Okay, this is one of my favorites. I got this in one of my Ipsy Plus boxes and I wasn't sure about it at first. I thought, what's so special about this Benefit Dandelion Shy Cream? It's cream and it's light pink and like, what? What does that do for me? It's a little deeper than my skin tone, so how does that work? Well, my friend, I blend it in with some concealer and use it under the eyes and it is beautiful. It's not one of those shiny, shimmering, glowy kind of highlighters. Instead, it highlights with a matte effect and it brings light to the eye by kind of tricking it into seeing light where it didn't exist before. So instead of using reflective particles, it just plays on light in the way that the eye sees it. In theory, when you contour, you use a cool toned matte shade. Highlighting in that same regard using a matte shade that's light is that same kind of concept. And this is a pinky tone, which looks nice on lighter toned folks like myself. I don't think this is a good product for you if you have a really deep skin tone because it is pigmented, but it might be a little ashy for you. I mean, this blends out to where it's not quite sheer, but it is kind of sheer, so I'm not sure. I haven't tried this on a deep skin tone person, so I would be interested to see how this performs. So I'm not writing it off completely, but it is something that I'm kind of on the shaky ground with. But one of my favorites. Unexpectedly a favorite. Going to another Benefit product. This is old. I've had this for a while and this is obviously a deluxe sample of their High Beam. Their High Beam formula actually comes in the same kind of packaging as this, but this I'm actually going to declutter because it's dried up and it's old. I'm not sure yet if I want to repurchase High Beam because I don't use a lot of cream highlighters and I do have a couple of dupes of this kind of shade in my collection. So it's that icy cool pink shade. I have some in blushes and I also have some powder highlighters that are pretty similar. So sadly this is going goodbye. Thank you. You've been wonderful. I have appreciated you and I honor your service. It's time to say goodbye. Mwah. Next up is this collection of JLB Cosmetics glow creams. There's this one, which you can tell is an iridescent violet shade, and it's called Luna. This one is an iridescent kind of gold and pink tone, and this is called Firefly. This one is also kind of a violet tone, and this one's called Fairy. In theory, they sound really cool because they're creams. I purchased this, actually I did a whole video on makeup that I found at TJ Maxx or discount store and kind of giving you some thoughts on this. So I think I might just declutter these because they're not really, they're really thick. They're pretty colors. I mean, look at these. They're very pretty and actually once they blend, they're not too bad. I would have to definitely put on over the top of my foundation before I put on powder. It does take a little bit of effort to blend it, but it does sheer out, so it's not really crazy highlighted, but it definitely gives you that dewy, wet look to your skin, which could be really pretty. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. It really depends on my mood and my preferences for that day, but I've never reached for those after that video, so that makes me think that maybe I should get rid of them. I have some costume looks coming up, so I'm going to see if I use them for that. If I don't reach for them, then I'll probably get rid of them at some point. This particular brand is kind of interesting to me, a lot of hit or misses. So these were kind of a hit, but not like something to go bananas over, you know? They're pretty, but are they practical? Are they wearable? Do they perform well? They're alright. I forgot this one. Apparently there's another one. This one is called Cloud and it's a gray silvery tone. This one I think I didn't like, if I remember. Yeah, this one's like a pure cream silver. This one I would not wear as a highlighter. I think I'm going to put this in with my eyeshadows because I don't need a gray or silver tone highlighter. It would make me look deathly. So that's getting repurposed. Here it is blended out. Like, highlighter? Seriously? For whom? The Tin Man? Two other products that I've already talked about, and these were in my blush video. The first one is this e.l.f. Duo Baked Highlighter and Blush. Because the blush isn't super pigmented, I repurposed this for my highlight drawer. And this is what that looks like. It's actually a really nice glowy pearlescent shade, which I really, really like. The next one is this Pixi Rose Gold Beauty Blush Duo. The pink is a very rosy mauve tone, which is not as flattering on me as it would sound. It's not really a blush that I like. So I put this in with a highlight drawer because I use this really pretty gold, kind of moonbeam gold, more than the blush. And so when I actually blended these two together, just did a whirl and swirl with my brush, it came out with this really pretty kind of rosy gold color, which actually is flattering on my skin. So I used that as more of a highlight at that point. So I like that combination. I haven't tried it much like that before, so I'm looking forward to giving this blush a new life. Pixi's formula is wonderful and it blends beautifully, so I'm happy to be able to repurpose that in some way. Next is this deluxe sampler, I think, of this Ofra highlighter shade called Bliss. This is just a single pan, which I'm going to put into a palette. I haven't used this yet, I don't think. Oh yeah, this is a rose gold shade for sure. This one's pretty, but I think it might be too dark for me to use as a highlight. So it might be more of a blush topper for me. So I'm going to purpose it for that. But I'm going to go ahead and not put this back in with my highlighters. I'm going to put this in with the products that are going into a magnetic pan because I want to consolidate and make that easier for me to find things and use them. Next is this Hourglass Ambient Lighting in Dim Light. This one's a deluxe sample. I used to wear this all the time. This is just a nice soft pearlescent highlighter. What I like about it, it is a dry formula and it's mostly matte. It doesn't reveal texture under the skin, and it's just one of those products that looks beautiful on anybody. If you place it in areas where you want extra light, then under the eyes is a great place to use this, as well as like the bridge of the nose, maybe a little bit on the forehead. It gives you this glow from within look, but not that shiny, extra highlighty, bring like beams of light on your face kind of look. I think Hourglass has this formula down. They're really expensive, but the quality is there. Cannot recommend them enough. They're beautiful. I use these on clients too, and they're just aww. Next up is an extra dimension skin finish from MAC. This one is called Show Gold. This one, I don't know why it's in my personal collection because I bought this for my kit. I think what I did at that when I bought a bunch of stuff from MAC was I just shoved it in my makeup drawer. This is just something that I forgot I had, so I need to put this in with my makeup kit, but I love their skin finishes. In fact, the next product I'm going to show you is like my Ride or Die highlighter. I'm wearing it today because it's just so pretty. It's my Ride or Die MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Soft and Gentle. It resembles a baked highlighter because it's got that marbled effect. It's gold, it's peachy, it's like the best of every world that you need for a really soft, glowy, pearlescent highlighter. Isn't that pretty? It's just my favorite. No contest. Hands down favorite. Next is this Estate Baked Highlighter called Doomy Lit. I'm not sure what the name of this, Doomy Lit, I don't know. This one's like the perfect moonbeam, sunbeam, yellow gold shade. I've used this several times and it's so soft. And it's pigmented, but it's something that you can sheer out beautifully. So here we go. It's beautiful on warm skin tones, and it can warm up cooler skin tones or even neutral skin tones. Just don't use this with a heavy hand if you do have a cooler skin tone, because it can make you look really ashy. But I think this is just a beautiful, natural kind of highlight that just looks like you've been in the sun all day, even if you're faking it. Another MAC Extra Dimension skin finish that I have here is called Beaming Blush. I think this might have been part of a limited edition collection. It's definitely too dark for me, and I had the idea of putting this in with my kit and I forgot. So that is also going to go in with the other one that I have that needs to go in my kit. Those two are very metallic looking, and some people really like that on their skin, and if you're a deeper skin tone then those look lovely on you, but not so much on me, you know? Next up is this Ofra highlighter in Rodeo Drive. It is a goodie and a classic. I don't wear this as often because Ofra's highlighters are very reflective and metallic looking on the skin, which I think highlights a lot of texture. I'm blessed enough to say that I don't have a lot of texture to my skin, but I definitely do have a few scars from when I had chickenpox and some other little things and blemishes that are on top of my cheekbones, so I don't like to use highly reflective highlighters because it can really bring out those textures. So I use these with a light hand because otherwise I just, no. But this is obviously a really beautiful highlighter. It's highly reflective. Okay, so time lapse to the following day because jerks like that can't stop revving their engines. That's why. I know this probably looks really weird because, hello, I'm dressed differently and have a completely different makeup look today. It's magic. No, it's battery running out and memory card being full and me just saying screw it and not wanting to deal with it. So I figured I would do the second half in a different fashion, and I hope that's okay with you guys because it is what it is. Another Ofra highlighter that I have is this one, which is newer to me. This one is called Glazed Donut, and it came out with the Nikki Tutorials collaboration. This I received in my Ipsy Glam Bag Plus subscription like 2 months ago, I think. I'm gonna have to roll up my sleeves here. I don't know why my skin seems so glowy. There's nothing on my arms today, but here we go. So it's very, you know, Nikki Tutorials. She loves that beaming, shining light. But again, just like any other Ofra formula, I can sheer it out. And this one actually looks really nice on pale skin because it's just a slight reflective look when you sheer it out. That's my favorite kind of highlighter. So I do enjoy this one. It's not something I reach for all the time. Just like I've stated before, I prefer a pearlescent kind of glow versus the shining metallic kind of look to the skin. But it is a lovely formula just the same. So fast forward to what I'm wearing today. This is the Benefit Dandelion Twinkle. This is a deluxe sampler, which for me is perfect because this will last me forever. So the original Dandelion blush is kind of this lighter, cool toned almost pink, and this takes on that property, but it's a little bit of a brighter pink but lighter at the same time. This is so lovely. It's just the softest twinkle, so it definitely takes on a slight pink tone, but for me it's not so pink that it's too dark on the skin. In fact, it just sheers out and blends right in with the skin. It blends in with whatever blush you have on underneath. So for me, I'm wearing kind of a nude tone blush today, and that just blends in perfectly with just a slight touch of pink. It is one of my favorites. I wear this a lot just because it's beautiful. Moving along, I have this Lovecraft Beauty highlighter palette. I got this recently, and I actually showed this off in a live video. Unfortunately, when I received it, it came shattered, so I can't really lift it for you to see it really well. I've used this a few times, and I do like this pink shade. It's similar to the Benefit one I just showed you. However, it's more of a cool tone, so it kind of reflects more of a silvery kind of shade to it. And it's pretty. It's not something I wear every day because it's not quite right for my skin tone in that way. But what I like to do is I like to sheer it out because that pink definitely shows through. It shows more pink than it looks in the pan. But it's definitely more of a cool tone pink right here. But from afar, you don't really see as much pink as you do like that sheen. The gold one in here looks really light and pale. From afar, it adds a cast to my skin. Even when I sheer it out, it's a little dark. You can still see it. Obviously, you don't apply highlighter like that with your finger, but it is a tad bit too dark, so I have to use a really light hand with it. This is something that I think would be beautiful used more with a bronzer, so it adds just that same kind of tone to the skin. I found that that works the best with matching that tone so it doesn't look like I have streaks of gold on my face versus a highlighter. But that's just me. I have a few Lovecraft beauty items and I have no qualms with them. I think they're nice. So hopefully I reach for that a little bit more since it is newer to my collection. The next thing in here is something I've talked about a couple of times. I talked about this in my Sleek video. This is a highlighter quad called Solstice. It has one cream and then 3 shadows here. So the thing about this palette that I dislike is that even though the colors are different, they all swatch so similarly. They have that same sort of white base, and that's honestly the only thing you can really see on the skin. Like from afar, can you tell the difference? Honestly, there's not a huge difference in tone or anything between them. So for me, it feels like a waste of product to have these 3 different shades in here that just basically wear the same. The cream, however, is really nice, but I don't really wear this that often. I think it's because it also takes on that cooler kind of silvery tone that I'm just not really into. I mean, as I said, it's pretty, but it's very pink and silvery. You see that? It's very reflective, which is fine. You could wear this underneath a foundation and just really add some luminosity to the face. I haven't tried that yet, and I think I'm going to just to see if I like it. But overall, I think this is okay. I think the formula is nice. I think it wears nicely. It looks pretty on the skin. But as far as variety, there's no real reason to have a whole palette when everything just looks the same. Here is another cream product, and this is from Jolie Cosmetics. It comes in this tube form, and this is something I've used once or twice. I don't recall if I liked it or not. It's because it's a cream, it's not something I go for a lot, and it is very pinky. I feel like this is more of like a blush almost, but it's got gold sparkle in it, which is pretty. But again, I've mentioned this before in other videos, I'm not much of a fan of sparkle on the face, any glitter, anything like that. I think the glitter does a good job staying in place. It doesn't move around, which is promising. This is one of those products that I feel like I want to get more use out of and kind of see if I like it, because I've only used it maybe once or twice because of the glitter. I know I've dissed on and kind of decluttered some of the other glittery products for the face, but this one I feel like because it's a cream it might actually stay in place better, so I want to give this another try and see if I end up using it and kind of go from there, especially since it came in one of my Ipsy subscriptions and I like to try to use what comes in there even if they're not perfect products, because you know I'm still paying for the products. This next set is something that I bought from Makeup Geek. What can I say? These are lovely. These 3 came in a bundle for lighter skin tones. There's Moonface, Celestial, and Glitz, which I'll show you here. Here is Glitz. It's definitely a pink highlighter with a kind of a silvery white pearlescent base. This one is Moonface, and it's a duochrome highlighter. You can kind of see some of that shift there. It's got kind of a blue tone to it, but it also has a slight purpley sheen as well. And then finally there is Celestial, which is also a duochrome, and this one reflects more of a purple tone. So there are all 3 next to each other. You can definitely tell that there's slight similarities between them, but because of that reflective duochrome property, they show a different look to each one, which I like. You know, it's one of those things where I was like, well, I don't want to buy a set of highlighters that all look the same, but they actually look so different from each other in unique ways. And even from afar, you can tell there is a subtle but enough of a difference between them that it's, you know, it's worth purchasing. And if you're not into funky colors, you probably won't like the duochromes. Here they are swatched on my hand. Highly reflective, but also this pearlescent finish where you're not, you know, looking like a clown with a metallic streak on your face. And what can I say about the formula? This formula is so nice. Like these, you could even wear all three together if you wanted because they blend so nicely. And you shear it out and kapow. Like you still see skin underneath it. It reflects just this most beautiful light. And I would say Makeup Geek highlighters are so worth it. They're so lovely. Marlena did an excellent job kind of coming up with these color concepts. I know they're not super unique to the market anymore, but she came out with these quite a few years ago. I'm not sure if she was one of the first ones to come out with duochrome highlighters, but she definitely was not the last. You know, she was on that train before most brands jumped on it. So on that same vibe, I have the Kat Von D, or now KVD Vegan Beauty Alchemist Holographic Palette. This I actually don't use as much as a face highlighter palette as I do for eye toppers, but I wanted to show it to you just the same. And very similar to the Makeup Geek ones, they are duochromatic and they shift different colors. Where this one actually has green emerald, ultraviolet amethyst, blue sapphire, and pink opal. So the duochromes reflect all of those shades. I don't wear a lot of duochromes on my cheekbones, but these are wonderful for the eyes as kind of eye toppers or inner tear duct highlights, or, you know, brow bone highlights is more what I use this for. I really like the pink opal one. That one's my favorite out of this palette, but this one is a little bit more reflective of the duochromes, because you see they're definitely more pink, blue, green, and purple. You can see here that these reflect more of those duochromatic shifts than just your white base, whereas the Makeup Geek ones I feel are a little bit more wearable because they have that stronger pearl white base to them. But regardless, they are both beautiful formulas. I really like both of them. I don't know if the Alchemist palette is still available, unfortunately. It was on sale for like $10 when I last looked on Sephora's website, but I think it might have been discontinued. And the Makeup Geek ones or other indie brands have very similar formulas. Oh, so I accidentally grabbed this and put it in my highlighters for some reason, so I didn't feature it in my blush video, which is kind of a bummer. Because, yeah, I wish I did, because I really like this blush. This is the Milani Tea Rose blush. This one is your standard pink shade. I really like this and wear it all the time. I got that in PR quite a while back, and I've used that blush so much. I mean, you can't really tell because the indents are still there for the rose shape, but I've used a significant amount of that blush because I enjoy it so much, and it's just the perfect everyday kind of pink shade for me. Back to highlighters. You're gonna see a theme here with me and eyeshadows used as highlighters. This is the old school packaging from NYX. Oh, this one's not even open. Actually, both of these aren't even open. What happened to the one that I had open? But anyway, this is old school NYX packaging when they still had square pans. This is called Toffee Shimmer. It is kind of duochromatic in that it has that white pearl base, but this reflects just this most beautiful gold. I think I got this eyeshadow originally in an Ipsy bag or something, and I played with it on the eyes and I thought, oh, it's pretty as an inner tear duct color. It's not something I'd wear all over the lids. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it on my cheekbones and see how I like that. And I fell in love with it. In fact, I think the reason why I bought so many of these is because I did a giveaway a while back where I put together makeup kits using some of my favorite products, and I put these in that kit. So I think one of the bags was never claimed or something happened with that. This is where the backups came from. But these are so nice on the skin. I mean, eyeshadows in general don't have to be just applied to your eyes. This is one of the prettiest highlighty kind of shades that I own. I haven't used these in a while because, of course, these are brand new, still in shrink wrap, stickered, blocked off, I can't open them. If NYX still has those, I would recommend picking it up if you want something that reflects gold but isn't like straight up gold, you know. On the eyeshadow front, here's a bunch of them. These are 5 Essence eyeshadows. These are called the Super Soft and Long Lasting eyeshadows. Now, these are all pale eyeshadows. This one is called Snowflake. And it's a beautiful pearl kind of white. This one is Apricota or Apricota. And this has just a slight apricot peachy tone to it. It's hard to pick up, but it is very subtle. As you can see here, a little bit more peachy toned. This one here is called The Grammy Goes Glammy. I've talked about this one quite a bit in other videos. This one has a little bit more of a gold sheen, but more kind of like this antique gold, kind of a taupey gold shade. This one is called Rosy Flamingo. And by the name, you can guess that it has more of a pink tone to it. And this final one is called All I Need. It's a little bit deeper, but it has more of a taupe kind of shade to it. And this one I don't wear very often. It's very cool toned. I bought it thinking I would use it on clients, but I never did. I ended up just keeping it for myself. So here are all of those eyeshadows that I use as highlighters. And you can see why I chose to use these as highlighters as opposed to eyeshadows, right? They don't show up on the eyes as much as they do on the skin. So I thought, I'm going to use those as highlighters. I did this photo shoot with my sister a while back, and I had this idea of doing this portrait kind of session with some cherry blossoms around, and I didn't want her to look overly made up. I wanted her to just look soft and ethereal. So what I did was I purchased the pink one, and I applied that just subtly to her face to give it this glowy look to her skin without it being like that's all you see. Because for the photo shoot I just wanted it to be really soft. So I really enjoy using these if I want kind of a soft sheen to the skin. I think using eyeshadows is underrated. This is an interesting product. I don't remember who makes this. I want to say that this might have been Aaah, but I could be very wrong. If I can even get this to open. There we go. It's this Mosaic Powder. This has some shimmer to it. This has a little bit of a hard pan, so I think I'm ready to pass that on. But it has just a tiny bit of a gold sheen to it, which was so lovely on the skin. This is kind of like the Benefit Dandelion Twinkle, but without as much of a sheen. I think this was meant to be a face powder, but because it had more of a sheen to it than I liked at the time for powders, I think I just threw it in my highlighting drawer. But it's got such a hard pan now that I think I'm just going to declutter this. It's not something I can really use. It's hard to pick up any of the product now. Next up is this Lottie London highlighter. This is called The Good Girl. So this is something I have not yet used. It looks pretty, and I'm actually just going to swatch that now and see what it looks like. This is really pretty. It is definitely a cooler tone kind of mauve highlighting shade. I do see that that would be really pretty on the skin if you are going for more of a cool tone. But you know what? As I swatch this, even though it's cool tone, it does have a slight gold sheen to it, which is interesting. You don't really pick up the gold in that as much as you see mauve and more of a cool tone, but there's slight gold. So I think that would look really nice on the skin. As I said, I haven't tried it yet. It looks like it could also be a little dark, but I'm going to assume you can sheer it out too. Yeah, that looks really nice from afar. I already have some highlighters that look like this, but I think for me, since I like to travel with makeup and it makes it easy to be able to have everything in a single palette, I'm going to place a magnet on the back of this and stick it in my magnetic pan. Another one that is in a plastic sleeve is this Ciate London highlighter. This is called Moon Dust. I have swatched this before, but I haven't used it yet, so I don't have an opinion yet on the product. If I can get it out. This has got a little bit of a silver reflex, and it is also very shimmering and glittery. It kind of reminds me of an Ofra highlighter because of how reflective it is. Oh wow, this packs a serious punch. that is highly reflective. It also has a deeper cast or base to it, so it might be a little too dark for my face. It's something that I see myself wearing more in the summer months, so it's too bad I'm going through this now as we're, you know, in fall. But sheared out, it looks really nice. I will have to try this on the face. It definitely has kind of this shimmer particle to it that kind of worries me because it's got a little bit of glitter and it's a powder, so I'm not sure how that's going to translate or if it's just going to brush off. Yeah, it's kind of messy, so I don't know. We'll see on this one. I might just pass this along to someone because it's not, as I said before, I'm not a big fan of glitter on the face, and especially when it comes in a powder form because there's nothing that's binding it or, you know, sticking it to the skin. So other than that, I think it's pretty. I just don't know much about it to be able to form an opinion on it yet. I'll also put a magnet on this and just kind of see where it goes. Alright, next is this Love and Beauty brown bronzer, but this was also something that I found to be a little too light to be a bronzer. This is the Forever 21 brand. This is pretty soft. I mean, it could be a bronzer for someone who's pale. I mean, I am pale in the winter months. But you see, it's almost basically a highlighter, right? It's a little dark for a highlighter for me, but sheared out on my pale, pasty skin here. Even though I sheared it out, I'm still seeing a little bit of a brown base there, which will not work as a highlighter. It doesn't really work as a bronzer for me either, so I'm going to pass this along and find a new home for it. Another highlighter, which is very subtle, it's more of a finishing powder with sheen to it, is this Too Faced Candlelight powder. This isn't quite your typical translucent powder because it's got more of that banana tone to it. It's got this gold pearlescent sheen to it, which I fell in love with when I first swatched this in the store. So you see it's got this kind of golden luminosity to it, and while the base is pretty light, it's not shimmering and it's not highly reflective. It just adds some light without it being shimmering, metallic, any of those really high shine types of formulas. This was my ride or die for the longest time, just to add just the nicest glow, and I would use it a little bit under the eyes and then just kind of sweep it up in a draping motion and kind of use it up in my temples, a little bit on my forehead. I didn't really take it anywhere else. I didn't want it to be this all over glow because that looks a little too much, but I definitely used it more on the high points of my face, and anywhere else I wanted a little extra light. Sadly, they don't make this anymore as far as I can recall, but this was such a lovely product. And Too Faced, if you're ever listening or watching my videos, can you bring this back? Thank you. I have quite a few Benefit products, which you're going to see because I really love and enjoy Benefit products. These are the What's Up in a deluxe sample. This is also a cream and comes in a retractable tube as such. This has a golden tone to it. I'm going to swatch it on the other hand. It's like a golden peach shade and it's highly reflective. What I like about creams is that you can apply them under a foundation or you can put them over the top before you put powder on. And with this product, it shears out so nicely and it just creates this like moonbeam pearl on your skin. It's one of those products that has been around for a while and it's kind of a ride or die for a lot of folks. And it's up there kind of with Moonbeam and High Beam and some of those other amazing products that they come out with. So this is something I need to start grabbing for as well. And then another Benefit product that I have here is called Girl Meets Pearl. Liquid Pearl for the face is basically what it says. Kind of like High Beam and even the Dandelion Twinkle. It has such a light pink tone to it that at first there's nothing there, but then pow. This is one of those products that I love using under foundation because it adds some luminosity, but it's not one of those products that you're just going to look like a shimmering, shining mess. But under a foundation, this is gorgeous. I haven't used this in a while, but it is one of those things that, like, I love. On that same token is this NYX Born to Glow Liquid Illuminator. I actually have this on today. It's almost out, unfortunately, so eventually this will be in empties. So I think I'm going to have to do a project pan on this just so I use it all up. This one is a bit more of a brighter pink, and it's definitely more pigmented, but it shears out so beautifully. And it reminds me of High Beam, but not as bright. It's still highly reflective, but once you shear it out on the skin, it does not, you know, look like this. I love products like this. I think a lot of people kind of frown on them because they don't really care for that. Matte is the rage, but I love a good glowy, dewy kind of skin that's illuminated and beautiful. So if you can't afford What's Up, or you don't want to buy High Beam or any of those types of products, then the NYX Liquid Illuminator would be a great option for you at a more affordable price. Another one that's similar is the Mana Kadar Beauty Shimmer Glow Shimmer Lotion. I think I use this on my face more so than on my body. I'm not really into illuminating body lotions. This is very similar. It takes on more of a peach tone, and it's a lot lighter than the other ones I've showed you. It just adds a little bit of luminosity as well. This one is nice. I've had this for a bit. This came also in an Ipsy bag, and I just wiped it off, and there's like this glittery shimmer sheen to it, which kind of pretty. I don't know that I would use it on my face now to think of it, but I've used it on my face, so I'm not sure. I'm just kind of talking in circles around this. I haven't grabbed for that in a long time, so I'm going to have like this whole section of products I need to grab for more often, because it's clear and evident to me that I'm not doing a good job using up what I have. Oh, another highlighter that comes in a pan, but there's no name on it, sadly. I have no idea what brand or this is and the name of it. It is really pretty though, so I'll use it, but I can't tell you what it is. Sorry, my hand is so shiny. There we go. I'll stick that in my magnetic palette and just kind of use that, I guess. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know the name of it. Here's another radiance booster highlighter kind of product, and this is from Seraphine Botanicals, and it's the Daisy and Pearl Natural Radiance Booster. It definitely looks really dark and looks as though it'd be meant for deeper skin tones. However, when you swatch it, it is very light. It's like a dusty rose, almost mauve type of tone with the cooler kind of silvery base, and it reminds me of High Beam in a powder form. I've used this once or twice, and I don't reach for this very often. On occasion I'll use something like this and do something a little different, so I need to reach for that as well because I like the formula. It feels really soft and buttery, and it does blend out nicely, so there's that. Alright, next is this Nomad Cosmetics Illuminating Highlighting Powder in Midnight Sun. I've used this many times. What I really like about this is that it's a nice subtle sheen of golden peach, and it looks really flattering on me because it is more of a peachy gold tone, and this is something that I don't use as much as I used to, but I forgot I had it in my drawer. It's been buried. One of my favorites. It is so lovely. There it is on my wrist. It packs a punch, but you can shear it out, and it just creates this beautiful luminosity that looks really natural on my skin because I have a slightly warmer yellow toned skin. So that looks really pretty on me, but I really love that. I need to start using it more. Okay, next up are these Temp2 products. This is Champagne Shimmer, and then this one is Pink Pearl. This is one of my favorites. Even though I just said I'm not a huge fan of like light toned pinks, this one is an exception because it is a duochromatic kind of liquid highlighter. I don't use this in an air compressor, although, you know, it'd be amazing as something that you airbrush on. But if you just apply the littlest amount using your fingers, this is the most beautiful pearlescent highlighter that I own that's in this kind of form. It's peachy, it's pink, and it's got kind of this white base, but look at this. It's probably not picking up that well because it is a wet formula. Once it dries down, it's got this pinky, peachy, almost like a light coral tone to it. And if you airbrush it on, it will be way more potent. But for me, I like it on, I like it to be light and pearlescent. But that is so lovely. And then this other one here, it's more of a rosy terracotta kind of shade. This I haven't used as much. It's not something I'm the biggest fan of in terms of color shade because it is so dark. But it does sheer out. And it does look really nice on the skin. Because it's so dark, I would use more as a blush or a bronzer topper. But I put it in my highlight drawer because it is so light. It does reflect a lot of light that it's not quite a blush. It's not quite anything else, but kind of like the skin luminizer highlighting kind of product. So I need to buy more Temptu products in general. Their blushes and their highlights are so pretty. I have a few more luminizing products here. One of them is from Becca, and these are small deluxe samples. These are the shimmering skin perfectors. I've used these quite a bit too. I'm surprised I'm not, oh, this one's brand new, so this one's a backup. This one should be open. No, these are both brand new. Anyway, I'm not going to swatch these for you because they're not opened yet. It's such a beautiful tone that gives this radiance and luminosity to your face, and you use it before you apply foundation. You can apply a little bit over the top of your cheekbones if you want to use it as a subtle highlighter. It is really pretty. I haven't used it in a really long time. Because they're in deluxe samples, it's really hard for me to dive into my highlighters and pick something. You know, it's easier to grab something that's large and at the top than it is to dig down and grab these smaller items. So I need to be more intentional about using these. Another one that I have that's similar is the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer in, I don't know what this is in. It is very much like their typical primer, although this has more of a gold kind of shimmering property to it, and it's something I haven't really used yet. I've used it once and I wasn't sure if I liked it. It's something that I think would be beautiful in the summer months. My favorite kind of silicone face primer is their original Smashbox Photo Finish primer. Having that in a tinted formula is something I wasn't sure about, but I wanted to try it. So I picked up a set of these mini sizes. This is the one I haven't tried yet. So this is something that, again, is so small. I need to be more intentional about grabbing for it. It's also something I haven't used yet. I got it in an Ipsy bag. It is from Incredible. It's called Cosmic Blur and Iridescent Jelly. So it has kind of this white jelly base, but it reflects pink and blue and maybe a little bit of lavender. This will be interesting to use. I just haven't wanted to open it yet because I want to get through some of the other liquid highlighter products before I open a brand new one up. But I'm excited to try this out and let you know what I think about it. Oh, I forgot to mention, this one is also another kind of face liquid luminizer. It's from Jelly Pong Pong Cosmetics. I've always loved saying their name. I haven't used this yet. It's still in shrink wrap, but it's something that I got in Ipsy, and I need to, again, be intentional about using this. It's just so small that it's kind of been buried underneath everything else. This is from The Balm, and it's called the Mary Lou Manizer. The Mary Lou Manizer. It is so tiny because it comes in this little tiny little sleeve, and it looks like this. This is something I don't think I've used, or maybe I've used once. It has that typical pearl base with a gold finish to it, and it is really pretty. I just haven't grabbed for this because, again, it's small packaging and it gets buried. I think what I'm going to do is depot this and also put it in a magnetic palette just so I have it there and it's easy for me to see and spot and decide to use. But otherwise, I really like the Balm's products, and it's sad that I haven't been able to use that. So, yay. Here's an IBY or IBY. I'm not sure if they pronounce that as the initials or as Ibby, but this is a highlighter called Bubbly. I've used this so many times. This is from an Ipsy bag. It looks really dark and kind of almost rosy, but it's so pretty. This is the kind of pink that I really like to use as a highlighter because it's warmer and it's got a peachy, almost golden tone to it, and as someone who wears a lot of coral and peach tone blushes, this just looks so beautiful over the top. One of my favorites for sure, and it's been buried, so I forgot I had it, but I need to put this on the top so I know to grab for it more because I love pink highlighters when they're this kind of tone, and this one, so pretty. This one is also from the same brand, IBY, and this one is called Radiant Glow Highlighter in 24 Karat Magic. This one isn't as beloved as that pink one because it's more of a gold tone and it's a little dark. It's not a little, it's very dark. This is something that I think I would have to use more as like a bronzer topper, to be honest, because this is highly reflective and metallic. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this into my eyeshadow drawer. I don't foresee myself using that as a highlighter. It's just too metallic and too dark for that for me, even as a bronzer topper. That is going to be repurposed and given a new life. Next is the Ciate Dewy Stick. I got this recently and I love this. This is one of those products you do have to be kind of careful in applying so it doesn't remove any makeup you have on underneath. But I like it because it gives you that wet skin dew without it being highly reflective or, you know, metallic looking. You can blend it into the skin or kind of dot it on, stipple it on, and it just gives this really nice kind of glossy sheen. And I've used this quite a few times and I like it. As I said though, you do have to be careful so it doesn't lift your makeup, but I loved that dewy look. So I'm going to try that this fall and see if I can recreate that dewy glistening skin for the winter time, because that is such a pretty look for the winter. So I'm looking forward to using that more. I have this e.l.f. jelly highlighter. I picked this up because it seemed really interesting. You know, everyone's on this kind of jelly craze, and I think of Jello, it's alive, and it's very jiggly. It just kind of moves around. But look at that, it's kapow pigmented. It has a little bit more gold and peach to it than some of the other highlighters I've shown you that kind of have that same tone. But this one I don't use or grab for as much because it is so potent because of the liquid form that it takes on the skin. But it's something that I recently picked up and I need to, again, use that a bit more because it's just been sitting in my drawer. Next is this Bare Minerals Flawless Radiance Powder. This came in a set with some other Bare Minerals mini sizes. It still has the paper thing in there. It has this golden beige tone with some gold sparkle to it. And it's so subtle and very pearlescent. It just blends right in as a nice cheek topper. I haven't used this in a really long time because it is in a pigment form, but I need to use this because it's so lovely. Another pigment is from Micah Beauty Cosmetics, and this one is highlight number 3. This is kind of similar to that Bare Minerals one, except it is way more shimmering, way more reflective. It's one of those highlighters that's almost like a barely there, but then pow, you get a hint of gold sparkle on the face. I'm not a huge fan of the sparkle, but because you can sheer this out, I think I need to try this out a little bit more to have a better opinion on it. Next up is this Huda Beauty 3D highlighter palette. When I got this in the mail in my Ipsy Plus subscription, I was over the moon. It comes with 3 powders and then this cream. I don't really use creams that come in palettes like this, and this one is a little bit dark. It's kind of almost like a taupe shade. You can use it as a base to pile on your powder highlight, and that's going to make it really stand out and be highly reflective and metallic. I don't like doing that, obviously. I've mentioned that a bajillion times today. Here are the 3 shades. They definitely stand out as unique, distinct shades. This one is a pearl white, this one is kind of that pearly pink, and then your pearly gold. And I've used this quite a few times. My favorite one is the pink one because it is a warmer golden peachy coral shade and not just your typical pink. It is so pretty. What I like about these is you can sheer them out and they're not super metallic like a lot of other highlighters are. You can sheer it out and it just creates this really beautiful glow on the skin. The way that they describe this is that you do prep, set, sculpt, and flush. So you apply your cream, and then over the top of that you apply Santorini, which is this pearly one, and then you sculpt and add shape and dimension using Azores. And then finally you add Ibiza as a glowing blush to just warm up the face. I don't like doing that. I think it's just way too much shine. I would rather you have like a matte blush with the highlighter on top. And I mean, all 3 of those shades are beautiful. And then the cream is not something I really use, so on that one, but the 3 powder highlighters are gorgeous. This is the Buxom Divine Goddess Luminizer. This one I got in PR a while back and I forgot I had this. Anyway, this is kind of a peachy bronze type of shade. It's not something I would use straight up as a highlighter because it's too dark for that, as you can see. You apply this underneath your foundation and it gives you a really nice glow. It takes on this kind of coppery bronzy shade, so this is something I would wear more in the summertime as like an under foundation bronzer. But you have to be careful with your skin tone. It would look kind of dark and weird, and maybe even somewhat ashy if you have a cooler skin tone. This might be something I apply over the top of my foundation before I apply powder and all that, and I might try it that way, but it is something that I've never really grabbed for. It was buried under a bunch of stuff anyway, so I'm gonna try to reach for it and see if I end up using it, and if not, I'll declutter and give that to someone who will give it a lot of love. Oh, I did not know I had this in here. I have a Pure Cosmetics highlighter. It's the Skin Perfecting Powder in Afterglow. It's never been open. It still has the little sticker here. I'm going to stick it in the magnetic palette as soon as I can get this out of here. Here it is. That's a really nice golden shade. I question how deep it is though. Ooh, it feels really nice, and it is very golden. It kind of reminds me of like a more pigmented version of that Too Faced Candlelight, but definitely not as white. So this is really pretty. I would actually wear this all the time. It's like golden hour. It's luminous and you can still see skin under it. I don't have like a full-on opinion other than that, but I can't wait to use that. I'm surprised I haven't used it yet. That's a bummer. Last up, I have two Morphe highlighters. This one was sent to me as a gift and as a sorry. So remember when the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection came out? I actually decided to purchase the whole thing because I was in Vegas at the time she was doing the meet and greet to actually give these out in person before they were being shipped out. Well, of course they did the recall, and then I got refunded and I shipped back my old version, and then they sent me a new one which was supposed to be the reformulation, and then as a sorry they also gave me a free highlighter. So that's what this is. I haven't used it yet. I don't know. It's just something I haven't reached for. This is a high impact highlighter, and it's kind of similar to that Pure one, only I feel like this has a little bit more of a peach tone to it, which I'm surprised I haven't used because peachy gold on me is lovely. You know what? I'm going to give this a go. I've been kind of up in the air about Morphe. It was a brand I didn't really want to support. I'm not going to go into all the reasons why. It's a brand that I choose not to purchase things from anymore. And I don't really have a ton of Morphe products to begin with, but it's just a brand I'm not really interested in anymore. This kind of makes me change my mind because that's really pretty. This is not like the Ofra highly reflective metallic sheen. I can see skin under it and it can be sheared out, and it actually looks so pretty. I think I have a highlighter I need to play with more. And then I also have this unused highlighter called Spark. It looks like a very similar shade. It's somewhat similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar enough. Alright, let's swatch it for good measure, just to see. Oh, that is High Shine. So that one might not be one I wear that often. It's like Candlelight. That's what I think of. It's like kind of the reddish orangey tones of flames at the top where it's kind of orangey yellow and it's just glowy and reflective. That's kind of what that reminds me of. Maybe. I think this would look nice with my corals. I think I'll play with this one too because I mean I haven't given them a fair shake, and if I already own the products I might as well use them. That's everything. Oh my gosh, that is everything. Holy smokes, that is a lot of highlighters, and I'm gonna apologize again that this video is so stinking long. I'm trying my best to edit and get them shortened, but you know what, if you're here and you're watching the very end of this video, thank you for sticking around. I hope this video was enjoyable for you. Let me know if you have any of these highlighters and if any of them are your favorites, or because I totally need more highlighters, but if there's a brand that I haven't featured that you say I should try, then let me know what that brand is or what highlighter that is in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Stay happy and stay healthy, stay well, and stay electric as always. I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.